Happiness is that one thing that every human being seeks. I mean, if we really think about it, our entire existence revolves around the pursuit of happiness. I mean, we seek happiness through many different means, through experiences, companionship, wealth, achievements, even entertainment. I know my personal way of finding my dose of happiness is by playing video games, so to each their own, and at the core of it, happiness is when things go our way, when we are able to do the things that we want to do and the puzzle pieces in life just fall exactly where we plan them to. But unfortunately, if you lived long enough, you would know that life seldom works that way. Things go wrong all the time, you fail, and the going gets tough. Yet, despite this harsh reality, there is still a way that you can thoroughly enjoy the journey, and that comes by actually harnessing the power of happiness. Now, while happiness is simply an emotion, learning to actually find it and learning to sustain it is a skill that you can learn. So the topic of today's video is going to be on happiness, of course coming from a video gaming nerd such as myself. So let's get into it. I want to start off this video by discussing something called the backwards law. The backwards law is a psychological concept that suggests the harder we try to do something, the less likely we are to succeed at it. Now, a common example that's given to actually describe this law is think of someone who is trying to stay afloat in a pool. The more they flail about, the more they try to stay afloat, the more likely they are to sink because they tire out, they panic, where else if they simply just relax and let their body do its thing, they will float to the top of the pool. Now, of course, you want to take this with a grain of salt. This doesn't apply to every single thing, but it definitely applies to the concept of happiness. Because you see, when it comes to happiness, we seek happiness by seeking more money, more achievements, more love, more success in life. Our pursuit of happiness can be so intense sometimes that it completely consumes our lives. But this is what you need to understand, is that our ego is an insatiable, bottomless pit. No matter how much money you make, how much achievements you get, how much success you have in life, it is never going to be enough. Yet people are stuck on this loop where they're constantly chasing for more, wanting more, never being satisfied, and this causes a lot of unhappiness in their lives. Now, this is extremely common because our society has normalized this. I mean, just using social media or the TV as an example, just open it up, you would see that someone's going to suggest you need a bigger house, a better car, better relationships, more money, more experiences, and this has conditioned us to constantly wanting more. This here is the big problem. We tie our happiness to an expectation in the future of what it means to be happy, so we're never really satisfied with what we have right now. And this is where the backwards law comes into place, right? Because we are seeking happiness so much, we never seem to get closer to it, and we are more likely to not succeed in getting it because we are so focused on actually wanting it. I hope that makes sense to you. We're not actually enjoying the happiness we have right now because we're constantly pursuing something in the future. And here's the important part. It is our unrealistic expectation of happiness that ironically causes us to be unhappy when reality doesn't quite meet that expectation. We are unhappy because we assume that happiness is a certain way, and when the future doesn't turn out that way, we tell ourselves that we're unhappy. So I want to use video gaming to kind of tie my personal experience with happiness. One thing you need to know about me is I absolutely love video games, and there are many things about it that makes it happy and fun to actually play. For one, as I'm progressing and leveling up in a video game, I feel a sense of accomplishment. That's always nice. And all the dopamine rushes, all the fun things that happen in the game can be very exciting, and of course that's going to make me very happy to play the game. Yet recently I encountered a very curious problem when I'm playing video games. I just can't seem to put a finger on it, but playing video games didn't seem as fun as it was when I was playing it as a kid. I mean, yes, these video games were fun and graphically they were many times better than decades ago, but for some reason the experience is lacking. I couldn't quite replicate that feeling of pure bliss when I was playing video games as a kid as I do when I'm an adult now. And really, that's when it hit me. It wasn't that these video games were better, it was simply that I was better at enjoying playing video games when I was a kid. I know, mind blown. Happiness is our default state. At least this is according to 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀, the author of 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗺𝗀𝗀, and he was an ex-chief officer of Google, so he's a pretty smart guy, so I think it's kind of fair to listen to him. When we are young, many would agree that it was easier to be happy. You were more content with less. You would compare less. You had fewer worries, responsibilities, and troubles in life. So taking my point about playing video games, the reason I couldn't enjoy playing video games as much as I did when I was a kid, because one, I had high expectations for what the video game should be. I wanted it to be really fun because of course I invested my time and money into actually playing and getting this game. Number 2, I would compare these video games to the hundreds of other video games that I've played, so I already had an expectation of whether this was better or worse in time. And 3, I must of course limit how much time I actually play these video games. I have other responsibilities in life, so my mind is constantly worried about the future. You know, am I doing something? Am I playing too long? Do I need to stop anytime soon? So you see, all these different variables actually influence how much fun I could possibly have playing these video games as a kid. When I was a kid, the only thing I was thinking about is turning on that PlayStation and enjoying the video game as long as I could. There were no worries, I wasn't comparing it to anything. There were some pretty shitty video games that I would enjoy playing the heck out of it because right then and there, that was my only focus. I had nothing to compare it to, I had no other worries. I was in the moment enjoying playing video games, and that's why it is so difficult now to actually find that same fun as I did as a kid. So I hope you're starting to see the irony here. As we start to grow up, finding happiness becomes so much more difficult. This applies to everything that human beings are seeking because we constantly want more, we can't help but compare ourselves to others, and lastly, we have difficulty actually being present because we are so worried about things in the future as well as worrying about things that happened in the past. These are very normal concepts, and these in fact are actually things that help us progress in life. It helps us survive and move forward, right? However, when unchecked and done in extremes, these 3 things can lead to us being stuck in a loop where we're constantly chasing happiness but finding less and less of it. Now, I hope you aren't too bummed out about everything that I mentioned before. After all this is reality and many people are stuck in this loop. So if you actually want to escape the loop, well, you first need to face reality. So you need to understand that yes, finding happiness is a lot more difficult and there are a lot of challenges in the way. But if you remember at the start of my video, I mentioned that finding and sustaining happiness is a skill that you can actually build. So I want to start sharing 3 things that you can personally do to implement a little more happiness in your life and live a more fulfilling lifestyle. So let's get into the 3. Now at number 1, a pretty cliche but extremely important one is finding your purpose. Now, finding great happiness in life often goes hand in hand with having a great purpose. Now, how I define purpose is the pursuit of something that is greater than ourselves. Because if you think back again to what we discussed, human beings are extremely egotistical creatures. They want more and more just for themselves, right? They want more money, more companionship, more success in life. And while this is completely normal and this is what helps us survive, when you seek happiness through this means, you eventually hit a ceiling. Because remember, it's never going to be enough no matter how much you get. But purpose, on the other hand, is not self-motivated. Purpose is actually built by the desire to live an impact in the world. So the question that you need to start asking yourself is, what can I do to make this world a better place? There are endless problems in the world, and if you're able to solve these problems to make the world a better place, let me tell you that your happiness will skyrocket. And this is especially true when you live your life improving on your skills, improving on your experience to constantly solve more and more of these problems for the world. Happiness comes from a sense of accomplishment, a sense of achievement. And when this achievement is tied to you helping other people to making the world a better place, let me tell you that there is no problem with you finding happiness in life. So you really want to start finding purpose and give your life direction. That there is going to be the first thing you can do to find more happiness in life. Number 2, practice more gratitude. You see, human beings at their default setting, we are conditioned to always imagine the worst case scenario, right? We're really pessimistic, and the reason for this is because it's a survival instinct. We have to imagine the worst case scenario so we can start planning for them so it doesn't happen to us. However, the problem with this is that we're so conditioned of constantly thinking about the future that we fail to appreciate what is happening right now. Gratitude is built through the appreciation of the tiniest things. And while this starts off very small, in time this starts to compound and changes our brain chemistry. Now, what do I mean by this? You see, every single day there are many things that happen in our life that if we really think about it, we should be very grateful for. This can be the tiniest things, right? Like you have a bed to sleep on, a roof over your head, drinking a nice cup of coffee, being able to spend time with someone that you like, being able to actually think, have a healthy body. I mean, you can think about countless things. And a great practice that you should be doing if you want to practice a little more gratitude in life is to start writing all these things down on a daily basis. You want to condition your mind to actually realize this because at our default setting, we actually don't even think about this. However, when we start to actually think about all these concepts a lot more, start to appreciate the little things, our brain changes in a way that we start to appreciate things a bit more, starts to be a little more positive, and hence be a lot more happy with the things that we have currently right now. Gratitude helps us balance out this need to constantly constantly want more, to plan for the future, to worry about the past, gratitude helps us appreciate what's happening right now. And a really good example I want to give with my whole video gaming example is that when I'm playing video games, sometimes I get caught with the bad habit of while I'm playing a video game, I'm constantly comparing it to what I'm going to play later or what I played before. You know, is this game good enough? Am I wasting my time playing it? Could I be having more fun right now while I'm playing this video game? And this really detracts from the enjoyment that I'm having in the video game, when in fact I should simply be thankful for the ability, for the opportunity to be able to play this amazing video game. And that helps me actually appreciate the moment a lot more. So try it out in your life. Start by actually writing down the little things, and in time this will become automatic that you'll think it without even trying to. And when you're able to change your brain this way, you'll start to see life in a lot more light-hearted manner, and this will bring a lot more happiness to your life. And to tie it all together, at number 3, make sure you are being more present. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with gratitude, because gratitude helps us be more present, but you need to understand why being present is so powerful. You see, happiness is often rooted in the present moment. When you really think about any sort of negative emotion, often they're rooted in the past or the future, right? If you're worried too much about the past, you're gonna have a lot of regrets, right? You're gonna feel like, oh, I should have done so and so. Whereas if you're worried too much about the future, you're gonna be anxious. You're going to be maybe, you know, worried about what's going to happen. But here's the reality, is that the past and the future doesn't really exist yet. And no matter how much you think, you're not going to be able to influence it. Only the present moment is what's real, and the present moment is what you are able to control. When you start to think about it this way, you start to appreciate what's going on right now. And this is where things start to get interesting, is that when you start to understand that the present moment is all you can control, well, then you start to appreciate even the difficult times in the moment. Understanding that yes, things are difficult now, but I'm going to do my best to actually use what I can to make the situation better. So there's no use worrying too far into the future, and there's no use actually worrying about the past and regretting it. Happiness comes by immersing yourself in the present. A trick that I like to do is that whenever I'm, you know, say at work or doing something that I don't like to do, something that's boring, pretty tedious, and I catch myself thinking like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over, I can't wait for the weekend, why can't time go faster? I take a stop, I slow down, and I tell myself that at this moment, I need to appreciate what is happening right now. I need to really realize what's happening on my surroundings, understand that, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing, and how lucky I am to be able to do what I'm doing. Because when you start to do this, you root yourself in the present. You eliminate all the extra anxiety, all the worries, you know, because when you start to get bored and you're actually thinking about the future, what actually happens is you're expecting a better future. And when you're expecting something in the future, you're not going to appreciate the present. You're not going to actually be happy right now. So you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you think about it. If you want to actually take it a step further, I find that meditation is an amazing tool you can start to use. You know, how I use meditation is a little different. You know, I'm not simply just kind of sitting down and just, you know, trying to empty my mind. No. In fact, when you're meditating, what you should do instead is to be more aware of your surroundings, aware of how you're breathing, aware of the sounds around you, aware of how your body feels, to simply try to be present and not worry so much. You can still think a lot while you're meditating about the future or the past, but you shouldn't judge and try to change them. That is the trick to meditation that I think many people don't get. Maybe I'll make a video about this sometime in the future, but I think that meditation can be a great tool to help you be more present and bring a lot more happiness to your life. So there you go. Those were 3 strategies that you can use to bring a little more happiness and sustain happiness in your life so you can live a more fulfilling lifestyle. Now, I know life can be difficult. There are a lot of challenges we have to go through, and you know, it's not easy, let me be true, but happiness is your birthright. But just because it's your birthright doesn't mean that it comes easy. This is a skill you need to hone, a skill you need to practice, and in time, as you do this, you will find that finding happiness will get a lot easier despite all the challenges in life. And the really cool thing is that when you're able to do this well enough, the challenges in your life won't be that challenging anymore, which means your potential to be successful, to be happy, to achieve what you want to achieve will be limitless. And that there is the power of actually harnessing happiness. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the content, and as always, I'm the nerdy one and I use video games to gamify growth. So if you enjoyed this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow along, and make sure you go ahead and check out this video over here for more. And I really hope to see you guys again very soon. So until the very next one, take care. Peace.